Hello again, my fellow pilots and aircraft maintenance personnel. Your host is always Haytham Aly, and I'm an aviation technical instructor. Welcome for my aviation nuggets for today. Today, we will recall the Airbus A320 oxygen system, chapter 35, oxygen system. Okay, so how we will recall the Airbus A320 oxygen system? By a number of MCQ multiple choice question. I will join a quiz now to have some MCQ question on the Airbus A320 oxygen system, and let's see how this quiz will take us for. Okay, so I will join the quiz now. Haytham Aly. Okay, and let's start the quiz right now. A320 chapter 35 oxygen system quiz. Okay, so first question. In case of cabin depressurization, the oxygen system supply crew only, passenger only, all the mentioned above. For sure, the right answer is all the mentioned above. All the mentioned above. Okay. So we have in the Airbus A320 oxygen supply for the flight crew, for the cabin, passenger, and flight attendant. And we have also portable oxygen cylinder. Portable oxygen cylinder. For flight crew, you remember for flight crew we have a pressurized oxygen cylinder, that will provide oxygen to the flight crew in case of cabin depressurization, in case of heavy smoke in the cockpit, and in case of any problem happen to the flight crew inside the cockpit, if they need oxygen system for emergency medical situation. Okay, so for flight crew we have a pressurized oxygen cylinder, supply oxygen mask in the cockpit, and for the passenger we have chemical oxygen generator. They are located in the passenger service units. Chemical oxygen generator that will automatically or manually deploy for the passenger in case of cabin depressurization. And also we have a portable oxygen cylinder and portable breathing equipment in case of medical situations that any passenger need oxygen for a medical situation. Also, if any smoke exists in the cabin or cockpit, the flight crew or cabin crew can extinguish this fire or this smoke by donning this portable breathing equipment. Okay, so next question. For the cockpit crew, oxygen may be supplied by chemical generator in case of cabin depressurization. For cockpit crew, oxygen may be supplied by chemical generator in case of cabin depressurization. False. This statement is false. Why it's false? Because for cockpit crew, oxygen may be supplied by pressurized cylinder. It is located in the avionics compartment, and this cylinder, you can check this cylinder from outside the aircraft by a green disc when you do a walk around. You remember, when you do a walk around the aircraft, you need to check the green disc of the pressurized oxygen cylinder. If you cannot find this green disc, this meant that the pressurized oxygen cylinder oxygen is ventilated overboard or discharged overboard, and overpressure happen because this oxygen cylinder have a protection against high overpressure or low overpressure, and the oxygen will be go overboard or will be discharged overboard, so you will not have the green disc on the outside skin of the aircraft. You will find a yellow disc instead of the green disc. Okay, so passenger oxygen system, the passenger and the cabin attendant oxygen system is supplied by chemical oxygen generator. Only the passenger and flight attendant supply by chemical generators. But the flight crew have a pressurized oxygen cylinder to quick donning masks in the cockpit. There are 4 masks in the cockpit, quick donning mask, to supply oxygen for the flight crew in case of cabin depressurization, or in case of sickness or illness of the flight crew, or in case of a heavy smoke or fire in the cabin or the cockpit. This quick donning mask have many options to be used. There is a selector. You can select either 100% or normal selection. If you select normal, the flight crew will breathe a mix of oxygen coming from the cylinder and also air or oxygen from the cockpit. If you select 100%, the flight crew will breathe 100% oxygen. The flight crew will breathe 100% oxygen coming from the cylinder. There will be no mix between the oxygen coming from the cylinder and the oxygen from the cockpit. Okay, and also there is a emergency switch that will supply oxygen without inhale and exhale of the flight crew. Positive oxygen supply. This for sure will be for emergency situation. If the flight crew has a medical situation or lose his awareness in the cockpit, so the other flight crew will help him and put the oxygen mask on his face and put the emergency knob to have a positive pressure supply of oxygen into the mask. So we have 4 donning masks, as we can have a maximum of 4 flight crew in the cockpit of the Airbus A320. Okay, so next question. The passenger and cabin attendant oxygen system is supplied by chemical oxygen generator units. This statement is very true. This statement is very true. Yes, for the passenger and the cabin attendant oxygen system, we have chemical oxygen generator. We have in the passenger service unit, overhead of the passenger and in the lavatory, in the galleys, and over each cabin attendant seat, we have chemical oxygen generator. We will have a chemical compound inside this generator. Once any user take his oxygen mask and pull the trigger of this chemical generator, oxygen will be supplied for a set of time, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 22 minutes. It will depend on the chemical oxygen generator. Okay, so this chemical oxygen generator will be deployed automatically or manually by the flight crew. Automatically if the cabin altitude reach 14,000 feet. If the cabin altitude reach 14,000 feet, the doors of the chemical generator will be opened and the oxygen mask will be deployed to the passenger and the cabin attendant. Once any user pull the trigger of his mask, so the chemical generator will supply pure oxygen to the all set of masks. Okay, so next question. Question 4 of 16. The cockpit crew oxygen system supplies oxygen to the flight crew in case of a sudden decrease of cabin pressurization, there are smoke in the cockpit, there are dangerous gases in the cockpit. So the right answer is all the mentioned above. All the mentioned above. Yes, these are 4 quick donning masks located on the side console, left of the captain and right of the first officer. And for the cockpit crew oxygen system, we have pressurized oxygen cylinder, and you always monitor the oxygen in this cylinder by having this green disc on the fuselage. If you ever don't see during walk around this green disc, this meant that an overpressure protection happen, high overpressure protection happen, or low overpressure protection happen for the gas cylinder, and oxygen ventilated overboard. Oxygen ventilated overboard, discharged overboard. Because for sure, if this oxygen cylinder suffer from a high pressure or overpressure, we must have this oxygen not to be ventilated in the avionics compartment, must be ventilated outside of the aircraft. So the oxygen will push this green disc, and you will see during walk around a yellow disc instead of green disc. Okay. So, this is the valve that supply oxygen from the cylinder to the mask. And you can switch off this valve from the oxygen panel here. Crew system. Yes, if you push this switch to off, this valve will close and there will be no supply from the oxygen cylinder to the quick donning mask. You can monitor always the pressure of the oxygen inside the gas cylinder on the door oxy page, and the pressure here on the top right corner of this page will depend on the number of flight crew. So there is a table inside the flight crew operating manual tell you as a flight crew what is the minimum pressure of the oxygen cylinder that you can safely depart with the aircraft. It depends on number of flight crew on board, if there will be only 2 flight crew for today's flight, or 2 flight crew and the first observer, and also maybe 4, and also the outside air temperature, today's temperature. So you can monitor the pressure here and the safety pressure that you can safely dispatch the aircraft will depend on the number of flight crew and the today temperature, outside air temperature. Okay, everybody. So let's proceed for the next question. Okay. Question 5 of 16. Whom has oxygen in a high pressure gas cylinder? Cockpit crew, passenger only, flight attendant only. For sure, cockpit crew has oxygen in a high pressure gas cylinder. Okay. Next question. Question 6 of 16. If an overpressure happened to the oxygen cylinder, oxygen is vented into the avionics compartment. This statement is very false. If an overpressure happened to the oxygen cylinder, oxygen is vented into overboard. And when you do the walk around, you will not see this green disk because the oxygen is ventilated overboard. You will see now a yellow disk instead of the green disk. There is 2 protection on this cylinder. Maybe low pressure overpressure protection or high pressure overpressure protection. This is a frangible disk, or here this is the pressure reducing valve. This is an overpressure protector on this pressure reducing valve to ventilate overboard the oxygen if an overpressure happen in a high pressure system or low pressure system. Okay. Next question. Question 7 of 16. The oxygen pressure condition is indicated on the door oxy page of the ECAM system. Yes, this statement is very true. As I mentioned, on the top right corner of the door oxy page, you can monitor the minimum oxygen pressure inside this oxygen cylinder. And this minimum pressure will depend on today's flight number of crew, if they are only 2 or 3 or 4, and the outside air temperature. And you can find this minimum pressure for safety to dispatch inside the flight crew operating manual. Okay. Let's proceed for the next question, everybody. I hope you enjoy this quiz. These questions are very good to recall the Airbus A320 oxygen system. Okay. Question 8 of 16. With the regulator set to normal, the user breathes a mixture of cabin air and oxygen. Yes. This statement is very true. This is the regulator of the mask. And on this regulator, you have 2 knobs. 100% a normal knob and emergency knob. The 100% and normal knob allows the flight crew to choose if the flight crew need to breathe a mix of oxygen coming from the cylinder and oxygen from the cockpit air. This is the normal selector. 100% selector, if the regulator set to 100%, so the flight crew or the wearer will only breathe oxygen coming from the cylinder. Oxygen coming from the cylinder only. Okay. There is another knob which is the emergency knob. If this emergency knob is being used, so the wearer will breathe oxygen with a positive supply. If this emergency knob not being used, so the wearer will breathe oxygen when he do inhale, when he do inhale. But when he do exhale, the oxygen supply will stop. But if you press on the emergency knob, there will be positive supply, and the supply of oxygen will not depend on the inhale or exhale of the wearer. And this quick donning mask is located inside the side console of the captain and first officer. Okay, so again, with the regulator set to normal, the user breathes a mixture of cabin air and oxygen. This statement is very true. This statement is very true. Okay. Let's continue. Question 9 of 16. For the cockpit crew, a mask-mounted regulator supplies a mixture of air and oxygen, pure oxygen, emergency pressure control. All the mentioned above? Yes. All these options are available from the regulator supply coming from the quick donning mask. Yes, this quick donning mask regulator may supply a mixture of air and oxygen coming from the cylinder if the 100% a normal knob on the normal selection. Pure oxygen if the 100% normal selector is at 100% selection. The wearer will only breathe pure oxygen coming from the cylinder. And if the emergency knob is being used, so the wearer will breathe oxygen under emergency pressure control. A positive supply of oxygen will always come to the wearer in spite of his inhale and exhale situation. Okay. Let's proceed. Next question, everybody. Question 10 of 16. The user can select 100%. In that case, the regulator supply pure oxygen at all cabin altitude. Yes, this statement is very true. This statement is very true. If the user puts the selector on 100% and normal selector on 100%, in that case, the regulator of the quick donning mask will supply pure oxygen at all cabin altitude. At all cabin altitude. Okay. Let's proceed, everybody. Next one, next question. Question 11 of 16. Chemical oxygen generators are located where? Above the passenger seats, in the lavatories and galleys, at each cabin attendant station, or all the mentioned above? The right answer is all the mentioned above. Chemical oxygen generators are there inside the cabin for passenger and flight crew and for anybody inside the cabin. And this chemical oxygen generator will be available automatically if the cabin altitude reach 14,000 feet. Or at any time the pilot need to deploy the mask for the passenger and the flight attendant from the crew oxygen from the cabin oxygen switch on the oxygen panel. In any case, if the door of the chemical oxygen generator is not being opened automatically or manually, there is a tool at the premises of cabin attendants. They need to use this tool to open the door. Okay. So chemical oxygen generators are located above the passenger seats, in the lavatories and galleys, and at each cabin attendant station. Okay, everybody. Next, proceed. Next question. I hope you enjoy this quiz and recall the Airbus A320 oxygen system. Question 12 of 16. Two types of chemical generator are offered which provide oxygen for 15 minutes or 22 minutes. This statement is very true, yes, and it will depend on cabin configuration and the number of passenger seats inside the cabin. So we have two offers for the chemical oxygen generator. One will provide oxygen for only 15 minutes once being triggered by any mask, and the other one will provide oxygen for 22 minutes. This chemical generator will be available automatically if the cabin altitude reaches 14,000 feet, or if the pilot at any time from the oxygen panel need to deploy the mask for the people inside the cabin. Okay. Next question, everybody. Let's proceed. Question 13 of 16. The cylinder is installed in a cradle with two quick release clamps in the right hand avionics compartment. This statement is very true. Yes. Sorry, it's not on the right hand side, it is located in the left hand side. I'm sorry. This cylinder or this question tell us about the location of the oxygen cylinder. It is located not in the right hand side, I'm sorry, in the left hand side avionics compartment. So the oxygen cylinder, yes, located in the avionics compartment, but on the left hand side. Okay, next question, everybody. Question 14 of 16. The masks are dropped automatically when the cabin altitude is higher than 10,000 feet, 14,000 feet, or 12,000 feet. The right answer is 14,000 feet. The masks are dropped automatically if the cabin altitude reaches 14,000 feet. And if at any time it is not deployed automatically, the pilot can deploy the masks from the oxygen panel. And if in any situations, if any passenger seats, their door, because this chemical oxygen generator is enclosed by a door, and the masks will only deploy if this door is opening. If this door is not opening electrically, in any situations, the cabin attendant have a tool and they can open this door manually to deploy the mask for these seats. Okay, everybody. Next question. A release tool allow manual opening of the door in case of failure of the container door opening system. Yes, that's what I have just mentioned. Yes. We have a release tool in the premises of cabin attendants. If the door of the chemical generator of any seats not opening electrically, automatically or manually from the oxygen panel, so the flight attendant can use this tool to open the door and allow the masks to be deployed for the safety of passengers. Okay, everybody, very good. Let's proceed. I hope you enjoy my aviation nuggets for today. Next question, question 16 of 16, the final one. In case of rapid cabin depressurization, oxygen masks are automatically dropped to passenger. Yes, this statement is very true. And the chemical oxygen generator will supply oxygen maybe for 15 minutes or 22 minutes. So yes, in case of rapid cabin depressurization, oxygen masks are automatically dropped and the doors will automatically open. In case of cabin altitude reach 14,000 feet. In case of rapid cabin depressurization, until the flight crew do their rapid descent and reach a safe altitude for the safety of their passenger and the safety of the flight. Thank you for your good listening. And I hope these sets of questions help you to recall the Airbus A320 oxygen system. These questions are prepared by me, Haytham Aly, your aviation technical instructor. Always stay tuned for an upcoming sessions like this to recall the Airbus A320 aircraft system by having a number of MCQ questions Thank you for your good listening, and always fly safely and maintain your aircraft very safely, and I will meet you very soon. Bye bye.